Alrighty, so it's about 1:02 now, so we're going to go ahead and get started. So thank you everyone for joining us in our live group demonstration. We do these kind of bi-weekly or so, and we have some topical ones that are more quarterly, but we're really excited for everyone to be here on what is a snowy day for us, and wherever you're joining from, we appreciate you joining us. So my name is Nathan. I've been with the digital ed team now for a little under a year. Robyn, do you want to introduce yourself?
Sure. My name is Robyn Beresford, and I'm an account executive with Digital Ed, and I've been here now almost 2 years.
There we go. So almost the entire tenure of the company, I guess. So a little bit of housekeeping just to get started. So for the first portion of the discussion, what we're going to review is what we do and why. So this will include our pedagogical reasonings and the science or the data that supports our views on blended learning and technology with learning from the 300 plus institutions we work with currently worldwide. And then in the second half, we're going to dive into the actual platform and show how our system puts these beliefs and ideologies into practice. It's going to be very high level to show the power of the engine, the unique capabilities of the platform itself, and why our content and level of interactivity and student engagement is truly powerful. So I have no problem interrupting Robyn. Please feel free to throw your questions in the chat as they come up. We're really excited to get started. So with that, I'll throw it over to Robyn.
Thank you so much, Nathan. And yeah, just second Nathan's point, I prefer, to answer questions as we go. So feel free to interrupt me. And as Nathan said, he loves doing it. So I'm just going to start with a little bit about who we are, Digital Ed. So we're an online education company, and we're focused on creating an optimal learning environment to deliver complex math-based courses. And while our company itself, Digital Ed, is relatively new, our products have actually been around for over 15 years. So some of you might be familiar with MapleSoft or Maple. So the origins of our company kind of start there. So MapleSoft created Maple over 30 years ago, and that's a symbolic engine used to do complex math calculations. Well, they then took that engine and applied it to help test math and assess math students. And they termed that Maple TA, or Maple Testing and Assessment, if you will. So then about 3.5 years ago, a group of investors actually bought that technology, that Maple TA, spun it out into our own company, Digital Ed. Then we rebranded it Möbius, and we really built upon that platform. So now we're not just testing and assessment, but rather you can deliver all your courses, you have content there. You can even do math placement. We have a partnership with MAA. And we've been working with world-renowned institutions like you see here, University of Waterloo, Imperial College in London, Purdue, etc. So over 300 schools globally use our platform, over 300,000 students, and we've automatically graded 10 million assessments. So I like to start with asking, what are the biggest gaps you're seeing in your online education for math? The first thing that I often hear is the question types. Other tools and platforms, and certainly LMS, if you're using that, really do struggle to adequately meet the needs of testing math-based courses. When you think about multiple choice or true, false, fill in the blank, really they're not a great solution. And using syntax can be clunky. A lot of solutions out there as well are based on inputs and outputs, which can make marking and asking open-ended questions very difficult. Another gap we tend to see is this concept of locked-in content. So if you're getting your content from a publisher, while they might have a lot of content available, it tends to be costly and also lacks control. You really can't edit it, author it, make it your own. If your students are struggling with a particular area or you want to inject your own content, you really can't within that environment. On the other end of the spectrum, you have OER resources, and they might seem free at the onset, but if you've ever used them, you know that they can be costly in terms of your time, or you might need to learn a certain coding language. And really, there is a lack of support there as well. You're left to kind of fumble through forums, if you will. So our platform has unique STEM capabilities. We're able to embed complex visualizations, plots, and interactive apps and activities across the learning experience, which really allows you to teach, test, and explore complex topics like you've never been able to do before. So this particular example, the Taylor series, really shows you how you're embedding an interactivity within a lesson, and then your students are playing around with the dials, the inputs, the variables, and getting their final output. And you can see as well, they're playing around with the dials here, and they can input their answer, and they're given instantaneous feedback in line with their questions. So really, they're not waiting a week for their test result, they're getting it instantaneously, which is very helpful for them. So you can see the student here is answering the question right within the lesson. Again, this is a low stakes practice question, how do they do, and they're given their feedback. So this interactivity and inline questioning really helps to anchor these concepts and dramatically increases retention for students. So at Digital Ed, talking about anchoring and long-term retention, we really look to leverage the accepted cognitive science of successful learning throughout our platform. And one big piece of this is the concept of interrupting the forgetting curve. We know that when we're taught something, within 1 hour, we lose, spoiler alert, 50% of what we're taught within 1 hour. And if you extend that to 2 days, we would have lost, spoiler, 70%. So that means that after your lecture or class, your students have only retained 30% of what you've taught them. So what can we do about this? Again, we can try to interrupt that forgetting curve and move the knowledge from short-term to long-term memory. And we can do this by continuously asking questions via inline assessment, like we just saw, avoiding static and one-dimensional content by leveraging platform capabilities, such as complex visualizations, plots, and interactivity in apps and activities. As well, using small spurts of learning followed by lots of practice also helps to move that into long-term retention. So I always like to ask, can your LMS or platform ask open-ended math questions? Because when it comes to asking questions, we all know how poor many of the choices are out there. Multiple choice is basically a guessing game. That's just not effective in testing math. And many of the question types are limited by the math engine that's powering them. And because of the power of Möbius and the fact that we are leveraging that Maple engine, we're able to ask a variety of question types you simply can't with other tools. So open-ended questions like this, provide the equation of a line that passes through X and Y, can be answered because we're able to very easily ask these questions because our engine understands math. It not only understands the question being asked, but understands all of the equivalent answers. If it's mathematically correct, the engine will automatically mark it as correct and grade it as correct. And that's because Möbius, our platform, is math native. So that means that you don't have to teach your students how to use a platform, how to use syntax, you just have to teach them math. So you can see here, this particular question has an infinite number of correct answers. So a lot of tools out there don't have the ability to instantaneously grade these types of questions because you have to fill out an answer key. And doing that for a question like this would be an impossible task. But not only that, you can see that when we answer the question here, see how I did, we get instantaneous feedback based on our answer. If I think I went wrong, I can right here, try another. I'm getting a brand new variable, same question. I'm trying it again. How did I do? And I got it correct. So that's our algorithmic question generator. For this question, instead of creating hundreds of questions for students to practice, I've created one open-ended question. And this gives us hundreds of generated questions for students to practice with. They'll all be marked instantaneously and given, again, you saw immediate feedback based on their response. So you're going to save a lot of time with creating these questions, obviously answering these questions. And that's the power of the math engine that underlies Möbius.
Hey, Robyn, just the first question to come up was regarding the LMS. Is it separate? Is Möbius attached to the LMS, or how does that integrate with specifically Canvas?
Okay, so good question. So we basically complement an LMS. LMS were designed to basically be a knowledge share across all departments. You're in the arts department, the math department, the music department, everybody can then, use an LMS, but it's not really, as you saw here, math native or designed to teach math courses. So we connect quite easily with any LMS, such as Canvas, via an LTI connection. So it's a very simple connection that your LMS administrator can set up in about 10 minutes. And with that, it's seamless sign-in for your students. So I sign into Canvas, I would see my courses. When I click on my course, it would run within the framework of Canvas, but actually be powered by Möbius. So, but it can also be used standalone. So if you don't have an LMS or you don't wish to connect them, you can use Möbius as standalone, which when I open up the platform, you'll see that's how I'll access it.
Actually, like one further comment too is we see a lot of STEM centers or learning labs or academic success centers use it standalone from the LMS, as well as dual enrollment schools for high schools also use it outside of that.
Right. Right, so again, because our engine is math native and truly understands math, you only have to teach your students math. So you no longer need to teach them how to properly use a platform, syntax, and then math. So you'll see here, syntax is no longer a problem because our platform understands right here that 4x, 4 asterisk x, 4 space x, 2x plus 2x, they're all equivalent. It understands measurements and unit equivalency. It also understands the questions being asked and the infinite number of correct answers. So you can also go further though than just simple algebra, as the power allows it to handle complex trigonometric functions, proofs, and other more complex equivalencies. And I'd like to touch on this as well, authentic assessment. So you can see here, there's two questions being asked. One is true, false, and one is basically an open-ended question. So which one of these questions do you think better assesses a student's understanding of a concept? You know, not all questions are created equal. A lot of this comes down to good course and question design. You really need the right tools to support your efforts to properly and authentically assess students' comprehension. So you can see here, they're getting the feedback with how did I do? If they got it incorrect, again, they can press the try another, and then they got it correct, so they got the correct feedback, but they could always try another, and then again, the variables would just regenerate there automatically. And the engine behind Möbius is used in math research at the highest level. Again, it's a symbolic engine that doesn't just compute math, it truly understands math. And this engine is what sets us apart. Learning, assessment, homework, practice, exams, they're all harnessing the power to create the most effective learning experience in math available. So I talked a little bit about this earlier, about this concept of cognitive science and successful learning, talking about students need a lot of time to really practice what they're learning. And traditionally in the classroom, you have lots of learning followed by little spurts of practice. Well, we really want to flip that on its head and, allow the students lots of time to practice in a low stakes testing environment what they've learned. And again, by harnessing Möbius, by having the exams automatically created for you, automatically graded by you, really reducing any bandwidth necessary by your department, you're able to allow this for your students.
Hey, Robyn, we just have a quick question about feedback on algorithmic questions being dynamic, but I think we're going to show that off in the platform there. So we'll leave it for now, but just wanted to point that out. We are going to address that question shortly.
Yeah. So, and I also want to point out that Möbius isn't just a blank framework when you purchase it, but it actually comes with some preloaded content via our starter bundle kit. So right here, it comes preloaded with 24 content packs. So you as an instructor would have access to all of these to edit, create, author, take what you want, input your own materials, really devise your own course. But these do come preloaded. And we've leveraged the power of the platform and baked it into these courses to get the most out of Möbius. But again, if you don't see what you're looking for, you're welcome to create your own. And then in terms of licensing, I really want to address this out of the gate. It is a per user model. So it's per user per calendar year, and it's $35. And that $35 then is regardless of the number of courses that a student is taking. So, if they're taking the algebra course, Calc 1, maybe they're taking Calc 1, Calc 2, and Calc 3 within a calendar year, there's no additional cost. It's just that $35. And that can be paid either by the institution, so perhaps you pre-purchase a number of licenses before the school year, or the student can pay themselves. So again, let's say that you integrated with Canvas, I log into Canvas, see my course. When I click on it for the first time, then I'd be prompted to pay via Visa or PayPal. And then again, my license is good for the full year, regardless of the number of classes that I'm taking in Möbius. And when you think about sources of content, I really want to highlight what sets us apart. And that's the ability to customize, change, and enhance all of our content from top to bottom. So again, we have very math-specific question types. We've also embedded complex visuals, plots, graphics, interactive apps into our lessons, tests, assignments, homework, and practice. We have the formula editor to write out complex equations in true math notation instead of clunky syntax, which can be really tricky too for first-year students who are already trying to absorb a lot of information. We have interactive narratives, which allow you to narrate slideshows or videos. You can embed questions, as you'll see here in a moment. So they're playing with their interactive element here. Then it's going to prompt them to answer a question. And so right here, you see the multiple choice question. They answer it. They can check their understanding with how did I do? They got it correct. Then they can move on. So it's not simply, an MP3 or a YouTube video or something that's playing front to back, but rather students are engaging that in the video. And all of this is included in our content right out of the box without any work needed. It's all included with Möbius. So again, traditional content sources, we consider ourselves a bit of a hybrid. So there might be the publisher, which again, they might have some great content, but really, there's oftentimes there's a cost that comes with that, and you just can't customize it or change it or add to it within that particular platform. On the other end of the spectrum, you have OER, But again, while it might look like it's free, you'll often need developers to help you or a whole lot of your own time to change the content. And really, there's zero support to help you. So we offer turnkey content backed by a powerful platform and a team to work with you to get the most out of our technology. We offer the support and stability that publishers offer while not sacrificing your ability to update and customize every piece of the learning journey. And we're not just claiming it to be true, we have results to prove it. So this, for example, is coming out of University of Waterloo. They adopted Möbius across their math department in 2017. So they had been using it for courses for almost 15 years prior to, but widespread adoption in their math department in 2017 has seen their dropouts, failures, or withdrawal rate drop by 37% decrease since they adopted Möbius 3 years ago. And this is really because students are able to better grasp these complex materials, they have more time to practice, and they're using a platform and content created specifically for teaching math-based courses online. So with that, Nate, I'll pause and ask if there's any questions.
So no, there's no additional questions that we haven't already answered yet. And then Mr. Lasher had a question about the feedback being dynamic, but we're about to go into that. One thing I will mention that we get asked a lot about those DFW rates at the University of Waterloo is, did the students know that they were a part of a case study or they were part of a new technology? And apart from the fact that they used a new online tool, they didn't know that they were being tracked in that manner. So we get that question a lot, and I'm happy to answer no, they weren't aware that they were being studied in that regard. It was pretty organic, which is very nice for us. That 37% is pretty stellar. So we're at about the halfway point now. We're about to dive into the platform and take a look at the instructor's perspective when they log into Möbius. We have a few set things to show, but we'll also leave some time near the end to essentially do a little bit of point and click if we can. There are some things that we feel are better left for a technical demonstration for people who are evaluating the platform. But before we do that, are there any other questions as we kind of trim the corner here? I don't know why I'm expecting someone to talk. I'm just looking at the chat.
I'm waiting to hear someone.
Yeah. Okay, well, pardon me?
I said I haven't even looked at the chat the whole time. I'm so sorry.
That's okay. I got it. So nothing else right now. So let's go ahead and dive in, Robyn.
Yeah, sounds good. Okay, I'll share my screen. Okay. I'm sharing the right one. Can you see the Möbius system homepage there?
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, so this again would be, if I had a standalone access to Möbius, this is what it would look like. I would just log into whatever URL your institution has deemed appropriate. And from there, I would have access to Möbius. So I have a little bit of a hybrid view here. So this is my instructor view of this class. This here is basically my view without editing properties. So maybe you have a TA teaching for you and you don't want them to edit your material. So there is that view possible. And as a student, these would be the classes that I'm taking. So again, for that $35 per year fee, these are all the classes. I can take any of these. It's all included with our platform. And again, you as an instructor can devise as many courses as you want that would be included. So for the purposes of this demo, I'm just going to pop into a little demo lesson I have here. What is Möbius? That just highlights a couple of differentiators that I want to call out. So firstly, there's the calculus page here. So you can see we actually use cascading style sheets, which means that you can really make this have the look and feel that suits you. So whether it's the color of your department or a certain font or whatever you want, you can really, take on the look that's most suited for you. I can zoom in and out, and you can see that the math still renders perfectly. It doesn't get fuzzy on me, which is great for screen readers. We work on tablets, desktop, smartphones. We're accessibility compliant WCAG 2.0. Our VPAT is on our website, so you can check that out if you want. And a lot of people ask how the math is being rendered, and it's actually rendered using MathJax, and the source can be MathML or LaTeX as well. I want to mention that. So you can see in this particular page, there's an interactive element. We talked about the necessity of that for students and the multi-channel learning, so it's not just a static PDF that I'm looking at. Then right here, this particular designer has decided they want their definitions in a green bubble. Again, this is a cascading style sheet, so you can have it look however you want. Then this is an interactive narrative. I touched on this earlier. You saw in the demo about how it pauses, asks a question. So I'll just start to play here.
For some species of animals, a certain
So I'm not sure, Nate, if you could hear the voice over there.
Oh, yes.
It's very loud. But that could be your voice, for example, as an instructor or professor. We do have some professors now with the switch to online. They're trying to kind of replicate that in classroom experience. So this is a really neat way that you can do that. And again, it can pause, you can ask questions, make it interactive. It's not just a static video. Then again, talking about moving information from short-term to long-term memory and how important it is for interactivity. This is another example of what that could look like. So as a student, I can adjust the sliders. I can play with the radio buttons to see the impact of the initial population capacity, offspring, etc. So I can see how that looks and then reset it. So it's just a fun interactivity. And following that, then they're asking questions. So again, much like you saw in my demo, I can see how I did, and I'm getting instantaneous feedback. And I know we did have that question about algorithmic. I'll get to on the next page. Algorithmic feedback, that is. So this one, again, it's pretty cool. There's a video there, but this is what I want to highlight here. So this is an example of our algorithmically generated question type. You can see here, it's asking the integer 14. I can answer the question. Don't judge me. I'm really not looking at what I'm picking here.
25% chance of getting that one right, Robyn. Just
I really should have tried harder.
Yeah.
But you can see that the feedback given, it's not just generic feedback, but again, to that question that was asked earlier, it is algorithmically tied to the integer. So if I try another, it's 90. Okay, I'm really going to try this one. Come on, Nate, you gotta help me out. I think it's this one, right?
If I help, it goes down from 25%.
But you can see, again, the answer is tied. I have a BCom, I should tell anybody who's listening, so I definitely cannot do this kind of thing. But you can see that the feedback is algorithmically tied to the integer. So yes, it's absolutely tied to it. It's not just generic feedback. And same with this one, try another and the integer will change. So that, I just wanted to give an example of what that looks like. And you can see this has a different look than the calculus one. And again, you can really make it your own and have it the look and feel that you're comfortable with. And I like this particular physics example. And this is coming out of, I think it's our OpenStax physics pack. But this here, the professor actually just took this picture of himself and uploaded it in here, so you can actually see his hand right there. So he just wanted a picture of projectile motion. So he took the picture, just embedded it in an iframe, and there you go. And there's a checkpoint for his students, check their understanding. But this I really want to highlight as well. This is an interactivity that they just, again, embedded into an iframe. So pretty much, if you have any copyright-free materials, be it, maybe it's Desmos, maybe it's GeoGebra, maybe it's a PhET, like you see here, that can absolutely be put right inside our platform for your students to play around with out of the gate. So Mehmet, my colleague, actually taught me that you can shoot a human out of here. So ever since he taught me that, I've been shooting humans out of this cannon. But you can see, you can just play around. It's just a fun way, for your students to learn. And if we go to the PhET website, I'm not sure if you'll be able to see my screen, Nate, if I go to our website. Can you?
Yeah, we can see your screen. I didn't know that you could shoot a human out of there. I've seen this thing 100 times.
Yeah, never showed me
Learning
that.
something new every day, yeah.
So you can just go to a website like this, like the PhET at the University of Colorado. You can choose, an interactivity for your lesson. And when you choose it, there's just the option to grab the embed code right there. And that's all you do is copy the embed code and then import it into your lesson, and you're good to go with an interactive activity for your students, which is really fun. And again, you can then put some questions on the end and see how you did there. So now I just want to go back to, for example, so again, that's kind of like an overview of what a class could look like. But from an instructor perspective, this will be my class then, my premium Calc class. And I just want to show you the content repository and what that would look like. Because from an instructor perspective, we talked about how you would have access to the full starter bundle content. So let's say I want to add some content into my premium Calc class. I can grab anything from our starter bundle. So again, I go to starter bundle and then content repository. And then from there, I can look at the various packs. I can look at the questions, and maybe there's some questions here. I want to clone them all, or maybe I just want to clone one into my class. So I can grab anything from that starter bundle that's completely free. And again, I can edit it, author it, change it, make it my own. We also have this source here called Möbius Cloud. So this is actually just a lot of questions that other institutions have decided to make available for other users in Möbius. So you can just go into the course module, and then I like this view because you can just basically look by topic, and then you can just decide, okay, well, I'm looking for something in linear algebra, go in and then grab perhaps some linear algebra questions from there. So that's another source of content. We also have these new content templates, which are really helpful if you're looking at devising, let's say, a Maple-powered question or an open-ended question, or maybe it's an interactive question or a plot. So you just go in and basically the framework of the question has been done for you. And so then when you go and you clone it into your class, all of the algorithms and everything have already been written, and you can just change some of the variables. And right now it's already in my class. So then I can look at it and I can again edit any of these. So I did want to point out how you would have access to that content repository to change your classes. So Nate, any other questions? Oh, one thing I did want to show as well is I didn't touch on this, but let me know if you can see my screen. Google Analytics.
Yeah, we can still see it. Yeah.
Excellent. So we actually leverage Google Cloud Platform, which means that you as an institution and as an instructor would have access to Google Analytics. So not only do you have access to the grade book in Möbius, which once it's tied to your LMS, it would automatically push the student's grades from Möbius to your LMS grade book, but that is more of a student view, as you know. But Google Analytics allows you to take it up to like a macro level view. So as an instructor, I'm wondering how much time students are spending on a certain assignment, or what the average grade is, or the number of attempts of that assignment. Or, maybe I have questions about my lesson. Where are they struggling? Where are they spending the most time, the least time? Energies. I find this Google Analytics dashboards super helpful for that. And again, this is completely free as well with your Möbius licenses.
One thing I'll add, Robyn, is we see a lot of professors who are able to tell if the exam is due Monday morning before classes start, Sunday night at like 11:30 at night or 11 o'clock at night. A lot of people are leaving it to the last minute to get started on it. So you have that information, that data to say, well, leaving it to the last minute isn't always the best solution. And I think that really empowers the professor to understand what's going on with the student, as opposed to just having a kind of a blank understanding.
Totally. Yeah. So I always think that's pretty neat that that's included in the platform.
I don't know if I would have appreciated that when I was taking my test, but I think it's really powerful.
Well,
And Robyn, we do have one question. Can you change when lessons or assignments appear to the students?
Yes, you have complete control. Actually, I shouldn't have stopped sharing so quickly. You have complete control. So in here, as an instructor, here's my class. I can choose then, when they're seeing an assignment, when they're, seeing a lesson, when it's appearing, when it's disappearing. I can make it so that, they can't see assignment 2 until they've completed assignment 1, or until they've passed assignment 1. So you can really get really prescriptive in terms of what a student sees. And this will basically be their calendar within Möbius. So again, as an instructor, you could put certain events and certain dates, and then the content would only populate when it's available, when you deem it's available.
Awesome. I hope that answered your question, Sandra. So we do have a bit of spare time now. That was an excellent demonstration, Robyn. Thank you all so much. Thank you so much. If anyone does have any other questions, now's the time. We're almost done. And one thing I should mention, if anyone is interested in a further technical demonstration, such as how to create an algorithmic question, or how to go about setting up a policy framework for classes, or changing the, the framework of any class and building something like that, I would recommend that you request a technical demonstration with one of our technical sales reps. I'll put my information in the chat now. Happy to answer any questions you have over email, or to arrange that for you. And we're eager to share more best practices. Is there anything else you want to add, Robyn? Or
no, just thank you everyone for your time today. And much like Nate said, if you're looking for more of a customized demo, maybe there's a topic I didn't touch on. We do have schools who are using us for physics, for nursing, for chemistry, for engineering. So there's lots of various disciplines that are using our platform, so we can kind of tweak it so that it's more specific to your needs.
Perfect. Well, with that being said, I guess we'll wrap it up here. Thank you so much for everyone for coming. It was a short one today, but we really appreciate your time and look forward to hearing from you. Thank you.